Hello, and welcome to another Steel Division Divisional overview. And today we're taking a look at a group Harteneck, one of those German formations that's just kind of been bundled together towards the later stages of the war. As, how German military is trying to get its shit together after losing a bunch of territory. And, well, they actually managed to make a pretty good unit here, a pretty good overall group. There's a lot of very cool stuff in here. It is still pretty mismatched in terms of units and tanks and airplanes and everything, but it's a lot of fun, and, well, it's pretty powerful. I mean, it is an A-tier division, after all. It is also a mechanized division as well. You got lots of infantry, lots of airplane and support slots, and everything else is pretty standard. Your anti-air is rather lackluster, and your first slot costs 2 activation points, which is pretty expensive. So you're probably not going to get a lot of anti-air. Nonetheless, let's jump right into the recon. You got some cool recon options. You got your regular bike, you got your regular 2-man teams instead of transports. You don't really get anything cool like 222s or half-tracks or anything. You get some cool MGs, but that's really it when it comes to actual armed recon transports. You also have like a truck with 2 machine guns on the back. Pretty cool stuff. And then you have the Hungarian clown car, the 39M. This is honestly not bad, even though it looks like something that should be in a Mad Max movie, and with, baby puke paint jobs. It's pretty decent. The 20mm gun does quite a lot of damage for, just being a 20mm, anti-tank rifle, or cannon, essentially. Pretty good rate of fire. It's honestly not bad for 25 points. You do get a decent amount of them. You got some Spar troops as well. Pretty standard 4-man recon teams, as well as some Cossack troops, which are honestly pretty much a fully strength rifle squad. They got lots of rifles, 2 SMGs, a DP gun. They can hold their own rather well in a firefight. And then the VK901, which is a prototype Panzer II Luke's model. They're pretty cool. It's essentially just a Panzer II Luke's, but with some recon optics, but not a cool paint job. It looks pretty bare bones, like it's a prototype. Yeah, and yeah, that's really recon. There's not really too much to say. It's pretty standard stuff. You do got some nice armored cars, which is cool. As armored car recons, especially autocannon recons, are always nice to have. As autocannons are great in SD2. Infantry. We got a lot of infantry options, and it's all over the place. Like I said, this is a makeshift group, so we just kind of pulled infantry from all sorts of branches. You got some military police, standard stuff. You got 2 cards of Ersatztruppen in this division compared to the regular 1 card that you get with the majority of Eastern Front Axis divisions. Ersatztruppen, not great, not terrible. You got some SOS troops. SOS troops are pretty awesome now, as they now have Molotov cocktails, meaning they're pretty deadly in CQC. They're a pretty light squad, only 5 guys, but with 5 SMGs they can do pretty good. And for 15 points, not bad. I mean, a Molotov cocktail is definitely worth 15 points alone. Grenadier Führer, pretty standard leader stuff. Grenadier DPs, which are armed with pretty much Russian equipment apart from the rifles, and they do come with a Panzerfaust, so pretty much a standard Grenadier squad, just with, DPs instead of MG34s. And then we jump into our first Hungarian unit, the Husaruks. Now, if you're wondering why a lot of German units really just use Kar-98s and they don't have all G43s, well, apparently the Hungarians have been hoarding them all. This is 14 G43s and like 2 submachine guns. This squad is insanely bloody good. It's 16 men strong. This is a pretty beefy unit. And in SD2, the second best infantry weapons that you can use are G43s. Or no, semi-automatic rifles in general. The best ones being SCGs, which you also get as well. Pretty much semi-automatic rifles just do a lot of damage compared to machine guns and other weaponry in just a general sense. So you can't really go wrong. So this is a very, very powerful squad. Of course it doesn't have machine guns, so it doesn't have extremely long range, but 500 meters with the semi-autos is pretty nice. And you also have anti-tank grenades as well, if things get a little bit too close. Jaeger Pioneers, pretty standard stuff. They do have G43s compared to regular Pioneer squads, which makes them really good. This is pretty much like a German equivalent of a Sappery squad, to be entirely honest. One card of Panzer Grenadiers. No Panzerfaust, unfortunately, which does kind of suck. As Grenadier DPs, which don't have, as great machine guns. They do come with Panzerfaust and they are 5 points cheaper. I kind of prefer the Grenadier DPs because of that reason. And then we got another leader, a Cavalry Führer, armed with STGs, as well as another Hungarian squad. This time, a little less than semi-automatic and SMGs, but they have 3 machine guns, which gives them a little bit of extra long-range capability. They're alright machine guns, but you got 3 of them, so you can put out quite a lot of suppressive fire, which is rather nice. Of course, you don't have the AT grenade compared to the other Hungarian squad, which just does kind of suck, but this is also a pretty good long-range, beefy squad. And you got Cavalry Jägers. Reiter means cavalry in German, I believe. Essentially, it's an SMG squad. Here's a tip. When you bring a squad out on the field, turn off the Carbine 98s. You just want to use it in close range. Just kind of a read. It'd be kind of silly if you're just sitting 120 meters away from an enemy unit and you're just plinking an array of 3 Botax and rifles, where the other 9 guys are just like, God damn it, get us closer, Hans, I want to use my MP40. Yeah, it's a pretty beefy SMG squad. And then you got a Reitjäger MP44, which is more of the same, but with some STGs. Once again, turn off the K98, and you got yourself a pretty decent STG squad. This isn't on the level of 78th Infantry Sturmschützen. This is one of the more weaker STG squads, but still pretty bloody powerful, and still a Trove-man squad. The nice thing with a lot of these infantry options for Harteneck is that they're beefy. You got 16-man squads, Trove-man squads, they're bloody thick all around, so you got a lot of HP on your troops, and they got fantastic recruitment, whether it's Hungarians with the semi-autos, or your cavalry troops with SMGs and MP44s out the butt. You got really, really bloody good options, to be entirely honest. In terms of transports, you got a few half-tracks for this division, for the German-based infantry. You got a good amount of Opel Blitzes to get you going, and just as long as you have enough Opel Blitzes, you're pretty much good to go. It's a transport trunk you're going to be using the majority of the time. You also have some ZIS 5s if you're feeling a bit Russian, but, Russians don't really make all that great in terms of automobiles, so just ignore it. The one interesting thing you do have to note, however, is with the Hungarians, as the Hungarians use their own transport trucks, and you only get 30 of these trucks for both of the Hungarian units. So there are certain instances where, for example, if we take the B phase card here, if no veterancy, we're going to be pretty limited, very close actually, to using up all the Hungarian transports. 30 on the dot. So just keep that in mind. I think it doesn't really become an issue, as there's no other units that use the Hungarian truck in this division, if I recall. Maybe, I actually honestly forgot. But yeah, I mean, also the Hungarian truck is not that cool. It's a little bit slow. Once again, Germans make some pretty cool cars. Trucks, I guess. Really blitz to the battlefield. Tanks, it's actually a pretty good tank tab. You don't get a lot of tank slots. This isn't a Panzer division, it is mechanized. But it's not bad. You got one card to capture T-34s, it is T-34 76s. Not great, not terrible. Good for the price, good spam. You got a bunch of Stugs, 2 cards of them. Stugs are always great to have. They got decent armor and a pretty bloody good gun. Stugs are nice. You can never really go wrong living the Stug life, and you got Stug Führer as well. And then you got Tigers. You got 2 cards of regular Tigers and 1 Tiger Führer. So these are pretty much your main heavy tanks for this division. And this is very nice to have Tigers. Tigers and SC2 are pretty damn good, as they can deal with the majority of Soviet tanks. You're not going to have a good time against IS-2s, of course. Or against other T-34-85s, some KV-1s, etc. The Tigers really hold their own, and they're pretty good in terms of... I want to say fire support, but even the gun only does... if I can actually click the bloody thing here... Never mind, the HE cannon only does 1 HE damage, if I recall. So it's pretty much the same as like a Panther, but you got the extra side armor, so you don't have to worry about being flanked as much. It's a Tiger. Tiger does Tiger things, and you got a nice amount of them. I mean, you can get 2 of them in A phase per card, 4 in B or 8 in C. This is definitely something I'd recommend only really taking unvetted, as you really just want the numbers. You want the most bang for your buck activation point rise. Oh, pretty cool. Ersatz MGs are extremely cost efficient, and also you get a lot of them per card. 8 of them. And yes, it's disheartened, it's going to get suppressed more, but it's a long-range machine gun team, and the German machine guns outrange the Russian machine guns by quite a bit. So, yeah, the disheartened thing doesn't really matter all that much when you're 1.5 kilometers from what you're shooting at. Unless you're being shot at by a tank or an infantry gun, then you're going to have a bad time. 50mm mortars. I'm always really conflicted about 50mm mortars. Because on one hand, they're really good. If you ever played Wargame Red Dragon, these are essentially grenade launchers that you'd get on the transport trucks. They're great at close range against soft targets, because this thing shoots so bloody fast, you just suppress things in 2 and 3 hits, and you just keep hitting them constantly with, you know, fast mortar fire. But they're only 2-man squads, and they usually get prioritized first, and you can only use them at close range, you can't use them in direct fire. So what usually happens, I find, is that you use it in the forest, because it's the only place you really want to use it. You move up and engage an infantry squad, and if you're by yourself, you're just going to die immediately. So you want to have a friendly infantry unit supporting you, be in front of you, but even then, sometimes, it will just get prioritized and killed, which isn't good. So, yeah, I just don't really find these guys to be worth it overall. Maybe I'm just using them wrong. Maybe people have managed to use 50mm mortars in a much more efficient manner, but they're pretty hard to micro, and they just die a bit too quickly. Jaeger MG42s are cool if you want not disheartened. Machine guns also has an MG42 over a 34, and as you can see, it does shoot quite a bit faster. So it's got that going for it. Some Opel Blitzes. You got a Panzer IIIN. You don't get a lot of them. Then they're not really all that great, but if you feel like you need just a little bit of extra armor, a little bit of extra HE support, because you've got to realise, once again, I can't actually click it. It's a bit of an annoying bug. But it shoots 12 rounds a minute and does 2 HE damage compared to the regular 1 HE damage on the majority of those tanks here. So it's pretty good infantry support, just pretty bad against other tanks. You also got some RSO munitions if you want slow supply truck, but it carries more per supply. So honestly, it's not a bad call, but the speed really does kills it. Especially if you're being counter-batteried, this thing will have a hard time getting out of said counter-battery range. You got some commanders, you got Stu 42s. Never really found the Stu 42s would be all that great. I mean, they're good in fire support, of course, but the Panther IIIN kind of does the same thing. Cheaper. It also has AP shells, even though AP shells aren't great, it can at least help you when dealing with light armor. Whereas Stu 42 usually has to spend 2 or 3 shots killing some Russian light vehicle. And you got a Panzer II commander and a Stunk 3 commander. Anti-tank is pretty cool. You got the, well, I was not about to say German, but it's actually the Russian PTRD. Wouldn't really recommend this squad. Just single shot AT rifle squads in the AT tab aren't really worth it. You don't have a lot of AT slots to really work with, so you don't really want to be racing a slot on this. We've got some Panzer Shreks, or it's cool to have Panzer Shreks. Some captured Russian 45mm, which are always pretty good. Low caliber AT guns in ST2 are pretty good. It can be a real underdog, and that's just due to the fact they shoot so fast, they cause so many critical hits, and even though you may not blow up the tank, you're going to blind jams, detrack him, maybe get a turret jammed. You can get some pretty sneaky hits on even more heavily armored vehicles with fast fire and low caliber guns. The Marder 3, now this is the Russian Marder 3, as it's using a ZIS-3 gun instead of the PaK-40 as different versions of the Marder. It's alright, not really that great. It's actually pretty bad. I wouldn't recommend it, because you can just get Marder Run, much better gun, APCR shells, pretty much, I mean it's worse armor, but you're pretty much just going from poor armor to really poor armor and that's not gonna really make much of a difference. You're still gonna get killed quickly either way. Marder runs are great. They're really good value, bang for your buck. I think also the availability between both of those things. So just use Marder runs. You also got some captured JSFFenix, which is cool. Last time, don't take my word on it, but last time I checked, the radios were still working on this. I know it says here it doesn't have a radio. Last time I remember when I played, it still sort of worked. I'm not entirely sure. They're good, but yeah. I mean, you're really just getting this for the being used as an artillery piece. And considering we don't have a lot of AT slots, really you're going to be spending most of our AT, well, not income, but AT activation points and getting actual AT units rather than more dual purpose weaponry. One card of Pack 40s, never go wrong with Pack 40s. And the main thing in here is the Panzer 30ATs. These are great. Unlike the Hungarian Cavalry Division, these guys have APCR shells, so they can do... Oh, finally that works. Now, anyway, they have APCR shells, so you can do some pretty bloody good damage. And you get quite a lot of these headshots, frankly. Especially when you take them unvetted. And this is great. I'd highly recommend taking both Carter headshots of this division, as they just pretty much help buff your tank force. And they're really good tanks. They're extremely cost efficient, great armor, great gun. Really can't go wrong with hedges. Hedges gonna hedge. I mean, and that's why I keep calling them hedges. Technically, it's the Panther 38T. They weren't called hedges during the war, but god damn it. I played Rotor Tanks back in its day, and I can't get the Hetcher memes out of my mind. Stuck in there forever. And yeah, it's shit. It's just bad. I mean, your choices is one flat gun on the back of a half track, or 4 flat guns on the back of a half track. You do the math. Artillery, also pretty shit. Not really that great. You got some artillery leaders, you got some artillery spotters. Then you got these 75 mils. Yeah, these are French captured 75s. Nice thing is, the Germans, slap some radios on them, or have radios nearby, one way or the other. And even though it's not a great gun, not a lot of damage, it's a bloody 19th century gun, technically. Because it has radios and it can shoot accurately, it's not that bad because of that. So you can keep this rather far back. I mean, it has 8 kilometer range, which is still good enough to cover the majority of the map if you're at the back lines. So yeah, you're really getting them because you can buy a lot of them. That's only 50 points, and once you get into B phase unvetted, you get 10 per card. So it's definitely an artillery unit that you spam and just beat them with overwhelming firepower. You also have AP shells if you so desire. Want to use it as an anti-tank gun? Really recommend it. Actually, it does do 12 rounds a minute in AP as an AT loadout, and does do 5 damage and penetration. So that's honestly not that bad. The penetration is terrible, of course, but you could maybe do some, like, the 45mm here. Do some memes where you just keep shooting at the tank and just get critical hits just due to non-penetrating hits, and once again knock out the turret, shoot the sights out, detrack him, etc. It actually could be something pretty fun to experiment with now I think about it. And you get a lot of him, so throw 1 or 2 in the front lines might not hurt. That is actually something very interesting. 80mm mortars, pretty standard stuff. You got some 105mm off maps. Not great, not terrible, pretty decent off map. 120mm mortars, alright. You also got some off map artillery in some big bloody 210mm. You don't get a lot of them, you only get like 2 in C phase and 1 in B. And because it's a slow artillery observer plane, it usually gets shot down. So it is pretty risky to use, I find. Not really worth it. And then the best artillery piece in this division is mortar half-tracks. You can never go wrong with mortar half-tracks. You keep them close to the front line, they got corrected shot, they can move out of danger. Mortar half-tracks, great. You only get 3 of them, but that's usually pretty good to get you through A phase, frankly. Mortar half-tracks, great. I always highly recommend them. And because they're so close to the front line, You know, the shells land faster, and they're great for smoking positions. Oh god, they're great. Airplanes. You don't get a lot of options, but by god, you got a lot of airplanes. For example, it's Messerschmitt 410 recon plane. You get 4 of them in A phase. Usually, with a lot of recon plane loadouts in A phase, you only get 1, maybe 2. But here, you got 4 of them, and this is a pretty good plane. It is a fast aeroplane. Not great agility, but it can outrun quite a few Soviet planes early on. It's just not that bad. I mean, it has pretty, you know, piss poor defensive armament. But hey, you know, the speed is your defense. And then we got all the Messerschmitts. These are Hungarian Messerschmitts, as you can tell by the Hungarian paint job. And you get a lot of them. In A phase, you got these earlier model E4s, but you get 3 of them with 2-star veterancy in A phase. Yeah, so a lot of that's pretty good bang for your buck. And even more to get a B and C, but frankly, when I get them in A phase, it's really worthwhile investment. Then we get to the G6 model. I mean, A phase, unvetted, we get 3 once again, but B, unvetted, 6. And then 9 of them in C, with no veterancy. Once again, not the best Messerschmitt model, not a huge amount of offensive armament. This one is a little bit better, because it's 220 mils. Yeah, I'd say they're both pretty similar, because this has 13 mils. It's still not a great offensive armament, but I believe the E4's, yeah, well, E4 is also quite a bit slower. But they're still Messerschmitts. They're great in an actual dogfight when you get into one. Yeah, it is. And then you got the G6R6, which has the gun podge. Once again, you also get a lot of them. You get just a lot of fighters in this division per card. Probably one of the most fighters that you can get in any of the divisions, frankly, to be entirely honest. You can really rule the skies like you're in, you know, 1940s France, flying over the Maginot Line, just shooting down all those French and British planes as your, you know, Ju-87 bomb runs. Anyway, it's something completely bloody different. Going a bit off topic here. What I want to say is you can really just make the Luftwaffe great again. Well, really, Hungarian Air Forces, these are all Hungarian planes. German planes, I'm trying to... let's just move on. I completely lost my train of thought. HE-1 runs, you either got them with a bunch of small bombs, or 2 really big bombs if you want some heavy bombers. And then also, finally, you got a pretty cool ground attack anti-tank plane, Messerschmitt 410. Honestly, not that bad. You don't get a huge amount of them, but you do get 2 cards, which is nice. You got a lot of airplane slots, so don't feel threatened in taking a lot of airplanes. Is kind of worth it. It does suck, however. The one thing with the airplane tab is you have no like light or fighter bombers per se. Your only proper high explosive bomber planes are big bloody one-run runs. You don't have like Focke-Wulf bombers or Messerschmitt bombers or like Stukas. Stukas. Yeah. But you got great fighters. You can definitely shoot down all those bloody Russian planes, which is cool. And defense, pretty standard stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much all the units in Group Harteneck. So let's see how we can actually make a deck out of him. And this is a division that I built earlier. So once again, the deck code is in the description below. For general overview of this division, this is more set up for longer attritional games, as we've got a lot of B phase, C phase cards and less veterancy on shed cards. So this is much more set up for team games where it really just comes down to attritional warfare. The deck I'm going to show off in the 1v1 replay that we're going to see later on in the video is definitely more suited for 1v1s. So let's just jump right into it. So, looking in the Recon tab, mainly just taking the armoured cars in A phase, or well, armoured tank and armoured car. I like them, they're cool, they're really powerful, can't really go wrong with autocannon or, you know, small 20mm guns. Yes, we don't have any recon infantry, but I don't really find it to be too big of an issue. B phase, we start to get the recon infantry out with the Kubel MGs, because I like having armed recon transports, because it's like having 2 recon units in 1 card. And I like using these guys early on for harassment and support, especially in the early stages of the game, where the front lines are less, developed, you can definitely run around and get some sneaky plays with these guys. Because once again, they're recon units. They don't project front lines, so you can sneak him around behind enemy lines and, you know, snipe some transports as they come up. Infantry, pretty much everything is an Opal Blitz if it's German, and if it's Hungarian, it just comes in the Hungarian crappy truck, and then my leader units all come in half tracks. But essentially, we got Panzer Grenadiers early on with some Right Jaegers and Right Jaeger MP44s. We've run A phase 2-star leader, and then B phase we got both Hungarian infantry types with 1-star veterancy, more MP44 troops, and then C phase, some Jaeger Pioneers, as well as Reiter Führers. With actually like 5 of them with 2-star veterancy. That's not bad. That's a pretty good amount of Führers to, you know, Führer about. Führer here, Führer there, Führer bloody everywhere. And that's great, because we do have a commander, so setting up those command lines is always important. And then the infantry in this division is awesome. I mean, these Hungarians are just so bloody strong. Yes, I do take them to veterancy compared to no veterancy. You do get, you know, quite a considerable amount less. You lose like 6 per card here. But I find this to be enough, as the Hungarians just don't bloody die. They're 16-man squads. Once you put them in a building, they are extremely resilient to really any fire. In terms of tanks, we got T-34s in A phase and Stugs in A phase. I'm not opting to take any Tigers in A phase, because even though Tigers in A phase can be pretty awesome, because it's a heavy tank in A phase, I'm really looking for that longer game capabilities. So we take B phase and C phase Tigers unvetted, Trove Tigers in total. That's a lot of Tigers. We're pretty close, guys, to being a Panzer division. We're just throwing some Panzer IV here and there. You know, maybe just like a card of Panthers would be pretty Panzerish, that's for sure. But we're not. We're still technically mechanized. But it's close. It almost feels like you're playing a Panzer division sometimes. I'm playing with Harteneck. Just shoot to the amount of Tigers you can get. And we got some Stugs as well thrown in B phase, 1-star vet. And, you know, the Stugs, and not Panther 4s. I kind of like them more than Panther 4s because a bit of extra armor. But they get the job done. They're good medium tanks. Or tank destroyers, or assault guns if we want to get technical here. Or Ersatz MG, because they're great and cheap. We've got both supply trucks, or a supply truck in A and supply truck in B. I like these over the RSOs, as honestly I don't go for a lot of supply, as this division isn't exactly artillery heavy, and the speed definitely helps out with supply trucks. And then B phase commander. Anti-tank, really in A phase we just got 45 mils and some Jagdpanzers, and then B phase a card of Pack 40s and more Jagdpanzers. I'd highly recommend taking both Jagdpanzer cards because it complements your tank force, and once again it almost feels like you're playing a proper Panzer division. Just almost. Anti-air, just one card of B phase, well, Flak-Velin trucks. Pretty terrible anti-air. I mean, no anti-air in A phase, if you don't use your airplanes right, can really hurt you. But we got a good amount of A phase planes, so we shouldn't be too bad. Artillery, not a lot either. A phase mortar trucks, or mortar half tracks I should say. B phase leader, I mean you have no tank leaders, so might as well take an extra artillery leader. As well as the B phase 75mm guns. Taking 10 of them, we're going to have a lot of artillery guns. They're not great artillery guns, but they're artillery guns nonetheless. And also, like I said before, they could be anti-tank guns if you so desire. And airplanes, well, we're really just focusing on the fighter spam. We got the Messerschmitt 410 recon planes early on. Once again, help complement our recon force. Yeah, you have to got a really good amount of recon early on. We can get some very nice eyes on the enemy. And then A phase E4, B phase G6, and C phase G6 R6. We have probably more fighters than we actually need in this division. I mean, if I'm counting this correctly, that's 17 fighter planes. That's way more than you need. But once again, this division is set up for longer style play. I just want the attrition on my side. I want to have a lot of units, so, you know, when I lose stuff, it's not going to hurt as much. And you definitely do want to have more fighters than the enemy do, because you don't have any anti-air. And the anti-air ain't going to help you all that much. when flying over your line. So you definitely want to have a larger fighter advantage, so you know everyone can be everyone's wingman and just stop your planes being shot down. It's not good when your planes get shot down. And then one card of the Messerschmitt 410 ground attack planes in B phase, that's for a bit of extra ground support. And then defense is pretty standard stuff, don't really need to go over that. So, overall, the pros of this division, where you got some really damn good infantry. This is a very good infantry division. Great equipment, huge squads, they can shoot a lot, and they can take a lot of shots as well, which is nice. It's pretty nice. Good tanks and anti-tanks. You just got good tank firepower overall. You got lots of Tigers, you got some Stugs, you got some Yankee Panther 38, some Pack 40s, some Marder runs thrown in there. You can hold your own pretty well against Soviet tank divisions in tank-on-tank fights. It's a little bit awkward because, not technically a Panzer division, but it really does feel like you are at points, just due to the AT capabilities that you do have. And of course, you have planes for days. Just seriously, you have a stupid amount of airplanes. Like you could recreate the Battle of Britain on the Eastern Front with the amount of Messerschmitt 109s that you have. But in terms of cons, it's pretty simple. They're both two pretty obvious cons. Your terrible lack of anti-air. It's abysmal. I mean, in this deck here, we have 2 anti-aircraft units in total. That's not a lot. That's not a lot of AA. And also pretty poor artillery. I mean, really, you got the mortar half-tracks, which is cool, and the 75mm are alright, but it's not great artillery, if we're being honest. It's just enough to get you by. So that's pretty much the overview of the deck itself, so let's take a look at how Group Harteneck actually performs in a match. And we are on a 1v1 on Ciano. And representing Group Harteneck, we have the JSFFenix. And he is fighting Nocturhan, playing 14th Infantry. Yes, I know. This is another goddamn German on German match. The replays are all German on German. There's just a lot of them. But this is honestly a very good example of how to play Harteneck here. Even though we are fighting against other Germans, both of them are on balanced income. And if we look at Phoenix's deck, it's a little bit more focused earlier on with A-phase Tigers, a little bit more A-phase AT, a bit heavier on the anti-air and less so much natural airplanes. Still taking mortar half-tracks and 75mm artillery guns, but he does opt to take an A-phase off-map artillery piece as well. And also infantry. I mean, it's slightly different, but you're still using Hungarians, you're still using Reiter Jaegers. As long as you got those guys out, you're pretty much good to go. But yeah, it's another Group Harteneck deck, just a little bit more focus on the earlier game rather than the late game pure spam. But you do have some good late phase attrition, such as with the C-phase Tiger cards at least. So, on Ciano here, this is a pretty interesting map. On the right hand side is Warrior's bit of a rat race, as you just try to rush to get into the town. Usually the first one gets in there, just holds it, and you got the bloody ridge lines that you have to worry about. Left hand side definitely plays more towards the infantry play, as you got the Tug of War over here, and then no one really pushes too hard, and the far left is pushing into forests with an open ground between you is not all that much fun. Now in terms of who has the infantry advantage, that really goes to Group Harteneck. Even though we're 14th, you got like the big elite pioneers and grenadiers earlier on with those STGs, and they're pretty powerful. Your Hungarian dudes and your Reiter dudes are just so bloody beefy that they can just usually outlast such firepower. And you also got pretty good tanks as well. I mean, both sides do have Tigers, and actually both sides do have Luxes, technically. It's going to be pretty evenly matched in that regard. But if we're looking at Phoenix's initial deployment, he is going pretty heavy into the town, but same thing with Dr. Han, he's trying to get in there as well. And on the left hand side, he is getting up very early off map, and that is probably going to catch Dr. Han by surprise. It doesn't have too much in it. It's mainly just a Setch troop and some Panzerschrecks. It's really not all that much. I mean, did kind of make... Oh no, you got a battery with you. That's definitely an interesting choice. Getting an artillery unit right off the bat. I mean, artillery units are call to have, of course, but spending that much points and also getting a battery fewer early on to battery, pretty much having those units in the back and rather spending money on the front line is usually not great. And yeah, as you see on the far left flank here, he's just completely exposed. Now on the right hand side, Fenix's push did not go all that route. He did try to get into the town, but he just got caught with his pants down, and the NSA's troop and Fusiliers managed to get in. And now we got Tiger, we're about to have Tiger on Tiger action. 45 mil in a lovely position. It's not going to kill the Tiger, but it's just going to keep shooting it, annoy it, you know, do some suppressive damage onto it, and maybe get a critical. That'd be cool. But Tiger on Tiger, the Tiger will eventually win. And just due to the extra suppressive damage and the help of the T-34, you should be able to beat Dr. Hand's Tiger. I think the smoke, yeah, really good use of smoke here, the artillery piece actually. And we are seeing a cluster bomber being brought out, and this is definitely the downside. He has no AA unit out. I mean, he can get one AA unit in A phase, but he also has no fighter planes. And he does have fighter planes in A phase, but none out at the moment. So his Studio 88 is going to get a very clean shot on the Tiger. Well, oh no, it actually misses. It's very close to actually getting the kill here. And that is going to allow Phoenix to kill the enemy Tiger. And also opting to take the A phase 410. Definitely an interesting choice. You only get one, but usually in A phase, especially if you're fighting Soviets, usually not much anti-aircraft out. So during that initial usage of getting the 410, as you can see, there's no AA out, so he can just fly around willy-nilly and just take his time lining up shots. Here at the moment, there's nothing really for him to shoot, so he's gonna back off. Yeah, mainly Phoenix is doing a very good job just in this flank over here. The off-map artillery is 105s. Even though it is only 105 mils, it's not the biggest caliber in the world. It shoots a lot. Off-map artillery, even the smaller calibers, they fire off a lot of bloody shells. So you can get some great suppressive damage here, and pretty much Phoenix is going to be able to make a very nice push up into here, as he does have an infantry advantage early on. You're also going to see Dr. Hand bring out some big elite units. The big elite pioneers are very scary. Got great CQC rapidry. And also Phoenix starting to realise the left-hand flank is pretty much exposed, and he is going to push up into it. And also getting some T-34s to help with the middle. And T-34s are always a great unit taking A phase. Yes, they're not great tanks in terms of fighting other tanks, but just for the fire support capabilities, not bad. Not bad at all. The Tiger here definitely pushed up a little bit too hard. Especially not that much on the front line. Yeah, it's definitely something you want to probably keep back on the hill here. It's a very dangerous position, as we see, as he's just exposed himself to the Pak 40. You know, he is managing to get away, it seems. Or maybe not, the Pak 40 might get its revenge. And yes, it does, and that is one dead Tiger. Yo, he still has another Tiger available to him, as you do get 2 Tigers in A phase with that 1 Tiger card, which is nice. You could probably do a pretty good A phase rush deck, so to speak, with Group Harteneck as well. It's an A tier division, so it is pretty flexible in terms of how you do your income loadouts. As you could get 2 A phase Tiger cards early on, and have 4 Tigers now in A phase. And that's a lot of bloody Tigers that you'd have to deal with. And you also got the Hetchers and T-34s to support you, so it's not like you're completely alone. But I really do like use of off-map artillery here. I mean, it's a choke point area, so this is perfect for the off-maps. And that's just going to really hurt those big leads as they move up into it. And then if Phoenix plays this card right, you can easily move up and capture it. Dr. Hand definitely made a huge mistake of just leaving his left-hand side completely exposed, and Phoenix, he realizes, yeah, sees the front line is definitely in his favor, and just moves up some, you know, cheap grenadier DPs up with some AT guns supporting, and then just gonna slowly capture a bunch of easy territory. And the off-map once again just gets great suppressive damage. As he definitely makes you want to consider taking that A-phase off-map card now. due to how effective it's really been. It hasn't hit a lot of units, I'm not gonna lie, but it's definitely made a huge impact, as now Phoenix has managed to push pretty hard on his far left flank. Oh, this is the problem now. It has a Stug here, and it's just looking right down the road. And T-34s do not fare well against Stugs usually, especially when it's a head-on-head battle. The 45mm gets in a good flanking position, knocks out the half tracks, and Phoenix now has pretty much left-hand side completely in his hands. He has stopped the right-hand push. Like I said before, the right-hand side is usually a rat race. The first person who gets into the town pretty much just holds the town and the basin of this flank here. Got the 410 coming in, and this is going to be perfect for the 410. Great target to go against. Be able to penetrate it. Go. Actually, did he go for the... He went for the open blades. I think he might have lost line of sight on the Stug. We do see an anti-aircraft unit now. Only a single 20mm, so it's not going to be too scary for the 410. It's still going to give him time to line up another gun run. Does he actually... Okay, now he sees the Stug. I think he'll see it before. The T-34 is a closer range, so you have a better chance against that German assault gun. The 410 is coming back round. Yeah, he's going for the Stug. And as you can see, easy kill. Here he is going to be forced to fall back now due to anti-air getting some pretty damn good hits. But he's going to be able to get away. You've seen a lot of airplanes early on. And like I said, the Messerschmitt 109s, always pretty good. Shooting down at Junker, easy peasy like. And you got a lot of fighters with Harteneck, so you need to really take advantage of that due to your terrible lack of anti-air. And now moving up T-34s, this is perfect use of them. Really, the T-34s are cheap, they're expendable. You want to be doing these crazy pushes with them when you can, if you feel like you can. And I mean, there's a Tiger all the way in the back here, but I mean, Phoenix, he pretty much completely mopped up his left-hand flank. It's probably going to be pretty hard for him to move up any further. It's usually not a great idea to try to go for the enemy spawn point, unlike an SC-44. It's due to the fact there's usually no flags there, and you really just want to be trying to capture flags most of the time. And especially on this area here, it's going to be pretty hard covering that open ground to the enemy spawn. But from this position that Phoenix is at, you got all these tree lines, you got all this lovely cover to take advantage of. This would be a pretty easy position to hold, and he has 16-8. He's getting a +2 point advantage early on. They're both of the same income, so it's going to be even Stevens from then on out. So even if he does lose his position, this is still a huge advantage he has over Dr. Han. The Bagley Pioneers, they have managed to recover after that initial bombardment. They are going to be running into some Jaeger Pioneers, which are also pretty damn good. And they're both going to get the grenades off. It's just going to be a bloody grenade warfare. Great micro-air gets the Jaeger Pioneers out in time. And the right Jaegers are going to be able to beat out at a Bagley Pyre, I believe, once they're getting close enough. Yeah, Grenadier DPs, not the best CQC infantry. Especially against Bagley Grenadiers, you're just not going to have a good time. And the 410 coming in once again. Going for the Tiger. Really get the kill. No, he does not. But gets some good critical hits at least and forces it to fall back. And T-34 is now going to be able to shoot it. Won't be able to kill it, probably. But, still keep it suppressed. A huge chunk of Bagley Grenadiers is definitely a pain in the arse. This would definitely be a good chance to maybe get a mortar half track out and just use that for fire support. It's a great area of mortar half tracks. It's got a lot of cover with all these forests and etc. And also the enemy is pretty choke point and railroaded in this pretty much one highway That's not really a high rate, it's just a normal road per se. You can just suppress him down easy peasy. And yes, he is already bringing out some artillery, just some 75 mils. This is also a good choice. Yeah, it's a very good early game push. Good use of artillery and infantry to make the advantage. Just throwing in more T-34s. This also be a pretty good area to maybe bring up a Tiger eventually. I mean, just pretty much just a caveat road as it just comes down to, you know, whoever has the biggest gun and heaviest armor in that long-range firefight. But Dr. Han is slowly starting to dwindle away at Phoenix's front line on the left-hand side here. Once again, Phoenix is still doing pretty good. It's got the +2 advantage over Dr. Han. Trying to solidify his position and defend it, but just due to the fact that well, Phoenix has to spawn all the way over here, and Dr. Han only has to spawn here, probably going to go in Dr. Han's favour. That is once again a problem if you push too far on ST2, is that it can be pretty hard to hold it. Usually what you want to do is just try to hit up on the flank. So that seems like what Phoenix is starting to do now, as he's bringing up a bunch of Hungarian troops who try and hit into the flank here. I mean, I kind of understand Ray wanting to hit into the flanks, because moving into this town and capturing it is kind of scary, especially approaching it from this angle, as you have to fight, you know, all the way along here, and the enemy can just shoot you from the ridgeline. Got a run on 9 coming in. I think he's just, yeah, he's just going for the gun run. Enemy anti-air is getting a little bit strong now, as he does have a flank villain out. And the 410 coming in, probably not going to be able to make the rounds, and as you can see, he just gets completely annihilated by the Crod 20 mils. The 75mm artillery guns, even though they're not great, they're doing a good job just keeping the majority of Dr. Han's stuff suppressed. I mean, it's only really going to be concentrated in this forest, or in this forest here, so as long as you can fire on both, you're going to be doing pretty good. You know, unfortunately for him, the 14th Infantry does have better artillery options. And in an artillery fight, I'd put my money on the 105s. Let's get more Hungarian troops, as well as some Stug 3Gs. As he's starting to try and hit the flanks now, as we can see, his left-hand push is starting to get, well, pushed back. And T-34s are definitely probably outstayed their welcome now, as they're not going to be great in a head-on firefight against Tigers and Stugs. You'd really want to bring up some Hetches, some Pak-40s, some Tigers of your own. You start fighting around Dr. Han's armoured push. Phoenix right now is concerned on trying to get, you know, push a bit more on the right hand side, which honestly isn't a bad idea. I mean, this flag right here is pretty much a freebie. And if he moves up some infantry up to here, it's just going to be another freebie flag. Dr. Han is starting to push up. Fortunately for him, there's no like AT gun or whatnot, or for Phoenix, there's no AT gun or whatnot nearby, because you could really punish this push. As well, he does have a recon bike, but no infantry to really cover the tanks, which is usually a pretty big no-no. And also the bike can just die pretty easily, because it's just a motorbike. I mean, that's just the same with positioning, to be honest. Now again, another Tiger. That's going to be... Yeah, it's starting to try and hit onto the right side now. And just pretty much getting infantry to hold out the left. Joe, I don't think his infantry deployment is going to go all out well here, due to the Panzers nearby. And the Hussar Rooks over here are being suppressed. I think it was due to artillery? I think it was artillery. So yeah, Dr. Han's really starting to invest quite a bit in that, getting another 105 into the middle area over here. Yeah, right now, I mean, is he... Yeah, he's just going to try to move up once again. Once again, still a pretty ballsy move. Especially with no infantry support here. Just trying to get some Hungarian chaps into his forest to clear it out of the big leech. Once again, even though Phoenix is starting to lose ground, he has gained flags over here, and he is still winning by a +2 advantage. And just as long, just as long as you got more flags than the enemy, that's all that really matters in the end of the day. I really do like how he is starting to opt to push over here. As you can see, Dr. Han is very much focused on his left-hand flank, and also actually on the far right now, but really just seeing the Grenadier DP spam, and unsupported, no infantry support guns, no tanks, or etc. Probably not going to go all that well. I mean, he can beat out these infantry units by themselves. He unloads them very early on, so once they start this foot zerg over here, that's going to give Phoenix a bunch of time to bring up fire support to deal with a Grenadier DP spam. But this is definitely a very good call, because once again what usually happens is a lot of people just tunnel vision on one flank, and then they all lose and die, because you just keep pushing on one flank. Actually trying to spread out your forces a bit, and even though it's pretty heavily defended here, it's just that trooping in these buildings and one snug, as we can see. And like I said, Dr. Han's very much focused on the flanks, so this is definitely going to catch him by surprise. And also, well, this left-hand flank push is probably catching Phoenix by surprise. But once again, these tanks are unsupported. They're scary right now, but once you isolate them, spot them, bring up some Panzerschrecks nearby, I mean, they're going to have terrible vision. You can easily deal with this. As you can see, the artillery gun is actually getting in on this AT action. Not going to be all that great, but he tried his best. Tried his best. And then the push onto the middle is... It's going to go well. The Hungarian's going to beat out the Ersatz easy peasy, like. And he's got great fire support, the Stugs and the Tigers. And one thing you may do is just try to spread them out here. But as you see, I mean, Dr. Han really can't come back from this. Phoenix has his infantry just on the flags. On the left-hand side, which is keeping it under his control. Very important, just try to keep units on the flags. And yeah, it's going to be a rather nice and quick victory for Phoenix. And actually pretty close in terms of kills, only a 300-ish kill difference. And pretty back and forth on the chronology. Yeah, pretty back and forth. Looking at kills here, and you see the 105 off map. It didn't kill a lot in terms of units, but it definitely did a great job of suppression. The 45mm, I believe that was run on the right-hand flank. Some really good kills, even knocked down artillery guns, surprise, surprise. Probably killed it on the transport. And, right Jaeger's doing pretty good as well. And losses, nothing really that crazy. The Tiger at the end has pushed left-hand flank, knocked out a bunch of artillery guns. Or I guess also AT guns if we want to be kind of technical. But yeah, it was definitely a good use of Harteneck. As you can see, the infantry is really good. It's really... I want to say it's the second best infantry behind 78th, just due to the sheer size of the squad and how well equipped they are. But yeah, you got great armoured play. I mean, you didn't really see any Hetchers here, unfortunately. The Hetchers did not Hetch today, which is a bit of a shame. But the Tigers can prove to be force multipliers. I mean, they're bloody Tiger tanks. The Stugs are decent. The T-34s are good spam tanks. Just throw in to be cannon fodder. And yeah, the 410s did pretty decent in terms of strafing and blowing up some stuff. Yeah. And that's Harteneck. It has good infantry and good tanks, just not great artillery around here. That's really it. It's a good division. Definitely a good division to play if you are newer to the game, as you do have a lot of stuff to work with. Just of course, unlike the other A-tier divisions, which may have slightly worse in terms of aspect, you just have terrible AA and anti-air. It's just bottom tier, pretty rubbish stuff. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about Harteneck. Beefy infantry, cool tanks. Just don't rely on artillery or anti-air artillery. And well, I'm going to leave it off at that. This has been another Steel Division Divisional overview. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as usual, please just take it easy.